As we are wrapping up this year, there's 3 things that I want you to be thinking about, pondering about during this month, just in the back of your mind, to help you prepare and set you up for success into the coming year. Now, these things come from 2 books that I read during the month of November. One is called Time is a Tool by Benjamin Harding. He also wrote The Science of Scaling that I read earlier this year that shares some of these same principles, and Burnout, Complete the Stress Cycle, which was published in 2019. Now, it's really exciting when I read these books that confirm what I have in the Thriving in Motherhood Planner and Thriving in Motherhood Journal, just based on the science, which is how I created things beginning in 2015 when I started doing this. And every year we've tweaked it. And as I was reading the books this year, just in this last month, it was really exciting to see, okay, we've actually got the tools. This research is working. The science continues to confirm this. But there's some things that these books emphasized that can help us think about things just a little bit differently, a slightly different angle that I find very empowering and helpful. But I want to give you a runway. I want to give you time to be thinking and pondering about these principles so that when you sit down and create your vision for the next year, if you've been hanging around with me for a while, you know we do this every single year, and start figuring out what your goals are, that you're coming from a really empowered, solid, confident place.
Hi, I'm Jessica Jackson, and this is the new way to thrive in motherhood by leaning into who you are, what you love, your unique family situation and personal mission to create a life that you actually want to live. I want to invite you to join me in saying no to the life of the exhausted supermom, burnout, victim thinking, being pulled in so many directions, suffering through survival mode, or being lost in motherhood, and say yes to building strong families and moving forward on our greatest goals in order to create a fulfilling life that we are excited to wake up to each day and become a soaring mother. This is the Thriving in Motherhood podcast.
If you are overwhelmed with your to-do list right now, I want you to check out Plan a Week You Can Win. You can find the link to the free training below. The very first thing that's important, I think, is when we're looking at why we get burned out as moms, it really comes because there's 2 parts of the equation. There's the stressor, the thing that's causing us stress, and then there's the stress itself. In our society, we're very familiar with and used to dealing with the stressors, solving the problems, building the systems, decluttering the house, these things, dealing with the stressors. But our bodies also need us to deal with the stress itself. And there's 3 main tools, mechanisms that we can use to deal with the stress directly. The first one is free. You just exercise every day. It helps take all of those chemicals that our brains pump out every single day as we deal with stressful situations, anything from screaming toddlers to piles of laundry to a kid needing us to do one more thing at a high volume, okay? All of those things cause stress in our bodies. It floods chemicals through our bodies and puts us into fight or flight or maybe even freeze. Now, when we move our bodies, when we literally move our muscles, whether you're walking or you're lifting weights, or you're cycling, or whatever your form of exercise is, it's literally moving those chemicals through our body and helping to complete the stress cycle. So that's the first thing. The second thing that can really help deal with the stress and helping complete the stress cycle and heal from it is adding meaning to things, creating meaning from the situations that we're dealing with. Now, what's really fascinating is in Benjamin Hardy books, when he's talking about time as a tool, there's a way that we can use our past to be powerful. A lot of us use our past as an explanation for why we can't do things or holding us back, or that we're kind of victims of our circumstances, or just keep us stuck, and we ruminate on them over and over again in unproductive ways. But what we can do to use time as a very productive tool is to have it tell a story, a true story, but a helpful story, an empowering story of how it helped us get to where we are today. And as you go back and you use the past and you review it as this helpful tool to empower you in your present, that is a very useful approach. Now, in the Create Your Vision section of the Thriving in Motherhood Planner, we do a couple of things to help encourage this. We have this whole section to help you close out the previous year, to review and reflect upon the year, and then to rewrite your story about the previous year. So we take time to look about how you're currently thinking about it, and then we want to make that past useful for us and to bring that meaning and purpose into it. So that is a way that we can do that. Now, moving forward, we want to bring meaning and purpose into our everyday life. And that is why we're creating our vision for the year. We want to have reasons for doing what we're doing. I believe everything I do here is to help you become a soaring mother. Okay? And this is going to look unique to all of us, but S in the SOAR is to serve using your unique gifts, talents, abilities, interests, those in your circle of influence. And as we focus on that, it will continue to expand. So you start with your family, and sometimes it grows bigger using those gifts and talents. O is for obedience, or I like to think of it as a strong relationship with God, that I'm receiving revelation from Him and I'm able to act upon it. A is to be able to approach life as an adventure. This requires you to be able to be flexible and to go with the flow, but also to enjoy the process and enjoy the journey, and also have space in your life for intentional adventuring, whether it's just reading fun books on the couch with your kids or going and doing something new. And R is for relationships, that you can enjoy meaningful and fulfilling relationships with friends and family. So when we're creating your vision for the year, I hope that for you, it involves cultivating these different things, and it's going to look so unique. Some of you work in the home. Some of you work outside of the home. Some of you have a side hustle. Some of you are full-time stay-at-home moms. Some of you just have babies and toddlers. Some of you have kids in school and public school, and some of you are homeschooling. And within that, there is so much room for interpretation, but soaring is available to all of us. And when you're living that way, you have so much meaning and purpose within your day, and joy comes from that. In this burnout book, it talked about how happiness deals with your circumstances, happenings, happiness. But joy is something deeper, and it can come from within. It comes when we are living our life with meaning and purpose, and it is that thing that can help carry us through the inevitable ups and downs of stress. Now, what's really exciting to me about this is when you take some of these principles from time as a tool. So we talked about the past can be used to help set us up for a more empowering present. The future, though, when we move forward, can also be a tool to help influence our present. So the Science of Scaling and Timeless Toolbooks are written for entrepreneurs that are making often 7 figures and wanting to scale 10 times that. So maybe they're making $10 million, they want to make $100 million. And instead of doing it in 10 years, they want to do it to 1 to 3. I am not the target audience for this book, but the principles and the research shared in it are absolutely fascinating and 100% applicable to us right now. Now, I just naturally settled on creating a vision a year at a time. And this proves the validity of that plan, because if you have a goal 10 years out, is there any hurry to complete that goal or to change what you're doing in your day-to-day life to get there? No, absolutely not. In the book, it talked about a lawyer who was making about $3 million a year in his business, which was a wonderful already success. And he thought within the next 10 years, he wanted to hit $100 million. So his plan was, well, I'll work on getting to 10 million. Once I get there, then I'll figure out a plan to 100 million. But because it was 10 years away, it was a lot of bumbling along day to day. There wasn't a lot of clarity about what needed to happen. Now, when he moved that 10-year goal of $100 million up to, in 3 years, he wanted to scale his company from $3 million to $100 million in 3 years. All of a sudden, he had to start paying attention to things. He had to pay attention to the part of the businesses that weren't working. He had to pay attention to the parts of the businesses that were inefficient. He had to come up with an actual plan to $100 million instead of just guessing his way there. There had to be absolute clarity so that what he was doing every single day was a direct result working from his future self as a CEO of a $100 million company. So for us, as we're thinking about, you're starting to think about, and I want, again, this early December time is a great time to be pondering, playing around with, experimenting with, thought experimenting with, okay, is the idea that I have for my life next year going to change what I'm doing today? Do I have goals or ideas or a vision that actually, when I put into place and start thinking about it, would influence what I'm doing today? If the answer is no, then it might not be the right vision for your life yet. Now, this does not mean it's going to stress you out. And it doesn't mean that it has to be big and grandiose, like $100 million in 3 years. But if you're thinking, I would like to figure out my laundry system this year, then right now, in the present, is that going to cause what you're focusing on to shift? For me, yeah. Okay, if the laundry's stressing you out and you decide next year is the year I'm going to figure out my laundry system, then today it's going to change what you do to figure out that laundry system. So think about things from that perspective. What is this thing that I want to do that's going to change what I'm doing today? And you'll come up with a clear plan about what that looks like for you, right? Okay, I imagine that this is what my laundry plan is going to look like. This is what I'm going to need to set it up. This is what I'm going to have to do every single day to keep the system running. This is what I have to teach my kids so that they will be successful in helping us run the system. So that is, to me, very exciting to recognize that as a filter for what your goals are. And if it's not causing you to start immediately knowing, okay, I have clarity now, I know I need to take action on, I'm going to come up with a plan for this, I'm going to change what I'm doing the day to day, then you need to alter your goal. Now, the third piece of the burnout book, we're kind of going back and forth here, is the third skill that you need to help deal with the stress in your life is to know when to quit. And what I loved about this was it's built in again to the planner. We've got every 90 days quarterly reviews. And we stop, and while you created your vision from this year from a workbook of like looking through all these different aspects and elements of your life, we go back again and do a life assessment, looking at 10 different life domains in your life, jotting down how you're doing in each of them, recognizing, okay, we might not be 10 in all these areas, but which ones is it okay that we're letting go of right now? Which ones do need more attention? What are the goals that we made for ourselves in the last 90 days? What progress did we make? What do we need to let go of? What do we need to say no to moving forward? What do we want to start fresh? What new information do we have? It's an intentional pause every 90 days to be able to look, evaluate, lean in, let go, and start fresh. Isn't that so exciting and beautiful? And it's the very thing that helps us complete our stress cycles to not get burned out. So just to recap, 3 things you can do to complete the stress cycle for you every day. Exercise will help move the chemicals physically through your body. 2, add meaning and purpose. Now, we can do this again by creating your vision for the year, by using our past as a tool. And the third way we can do it is actually built into the Thriving in Motherhood journal with gratitude. Now, gratitude is not being grateful for things. It doesn't have the same impact. The 2 things that you can have great gratitude for that will influence how you're feeling day to day, completing that stress cycle, helping you heal, helping bring way more joy into your life, is being grateful for people and being grateful for how things unfolded in your life. Again, using that past as a tool. And so when you can sit and journal out, this is who you're grateful for today, or even better, send them a letter and telling them what you're grateful for, or even better, reading that letter to them, that has enough impact to help boost your happiness for a whole month. Again, there's a reminder to do that every single week in the Thriving in Motherhood journal, built in. It's so exciting to have this research from 13 years ago being confirmed again just in the last few years, isn't it? So still really impactful. And then that daily gratitude of, what were those big wins? How did you see the hand of God in your life today? What are you grateful for today in the context of how life is unfolding, how things are working for you, not against you, and telling this really meaningful story that can play out, okay? That's how we deal with that meaning part. And then 3, taking time to reflect and review and say, when is it time to let go? When is it time to move on? And we do that every 90 days in great detail in the Thriving in Motherhood journal. We also have monthly check-ins as well to help see, okay, where did I want to go this quarter and where am I heading to next? Now, the thought part of all of this for you during December, 2 things. 1, I want you to practice completing the stress cycle every day. That feels good. But 2, start thinking about this previous year that you just lived and how can you use it as a tool to make you more empowered in the future? What are you most proud of? What were your lessons that you were learned? Now, all of this is actually in the Thriving in Motherhood planner in the Create Your Vision section. And if you're already like, Jessica, I have a planner I love, you can just take the Create Your Vision portion of the planner and work through it. There's a course that goes with it. That's a bonus that goes along with the workbook. But I firmly, strongly believe for years after creating vision for myself every year since 2015 now, how it's completely changed my life. And just reading these 2 books this year, confirming how important this process is. Everyone needs to do it. And I've tailored it specifically for you as a mom, not someone that's got a 9-to-5 job out of the home without interruptions and no other cares in the world, right? But you with lots of other people in your life. And we create this vision. And so I want you to be thinking and reflecting, what are these things that I've learned from this year that is going to heal, rewrite that story, be powerful? And what are some goals, a vision for the upcoming year that will force me to make changes? Not in crazy ways, but in impactful ways, in intentional ways, and purposeful ways that at the end of 2026, at the end of next year, you'll be looking back so proud and grateful for the choices that you made and the way that you set yourself up for success. We just did this in Soaring Mother Society. Yesterday, I sat and talked with women and we reflected on what they wrote on a year ago in December of 2024 to where they are now in 2025, and just had a tender, heartfelt moment in that growth. I hope you sit in that place yourself and give yourself the space that you need to create this idea of who you are right now and where you want to go. And then we could work all next year about how to close the gap. But this first step is so important. It's what I'm very excited about walking through with you this year and the Thriving in Motherhood planner and with the Create Your Vision workbook and challenge.
Where you are planted, watch the blossoms grow.